Here in Cambridge, with the Grand River flowing very nearby, is the renowned Cafe 13 Main Street Grill. And it now is occupied by a bank building that dates back to 1875. And this restaurant still maintains much of that era's charm and character with a couple of extra additions that are eclectic in a very fantastic, renowned limestone architecture.
The building originally was a bank built in 1894. It was the Imperial Bank of Commerce. When this place was converted to a restaurant in 1980, they being Blair Bender and his wife, brought in some very interesting pieces. All the light fixtures, the bar itself, were brought from Philadelphia. The bar at that time was 141 years old, so we're dealing with a 165-year-old bar. What we have done is basically taking things out of the storage areas, cleaned them off, and put them back on the walls. Things that had fallen off or been misused, we've tried to resurrect and add to the decor.
Adam, this is a really, really beautiful room. What do you do up here?
This is called the Gull Club. It was built in 1992. It has the capacity to seat 44 people for a sit-down dinner or 60 for a cocktail reception. And we try to utilize the room mostly for birthday parties or smaller weddings. And we do a regular blues jam up here, and we're trying new things such as Latin dancing in the new year.
Tell us about the atmosphere we're creating.
Dealing with this business being in historic downtown Gulp, it has beautiful architecture, beautiful scenery. This is another step back in time, showcasing that, and in the same way, give people an experience.
What are you making for us today?
Today I'm going to make a rum cake with apple walnut rum sauce. It's a recipe that I learned working in Cayman Islands, and it's a Cayman Islands Tortuga rum cake, which is traditional to the island. And I happened to snag the recipe and bring it back with me.
Right on.
I'm also going to make a chicken Diego, which is an Italian-style cream-based chicken dish. Okay, what we're going to start with is I just take a dollop of butter and I just kind of smear it around. Then what I do is I just kind of dust it with flour. This kind of breaks the seal from the cake from the pan. Then what I do is I drop in crushed walnuts into the base of the cake. These are my dry ingredients for mixing the cake.
Okay.
Basically just flour, baking powder, sugar, and a touch of salt.
Okay.
So what I'm going to do is I'm going to crack in 3 eggs. And then here I just have water and a little bit of cooking oil.
Water and cooking oil.
So now I just mix all these ingredients together, just until all the lumps are out. And then I just pour this right into the cake pan, hoping that the walnuts will stay on the base of the cake. This goes into the oven at 350 for about 40 minutes. So while that's baking, maybe we can get onto the main meal.
All right.
I'm going to start with a couple of strips of bacon, and this just kind of gets roughly cut. So I'm going to start that on the stove. While that's sautéing up, I just take my chicken breast. What I do with this is I kind of cut it on an angle, so it's more of like a flat medallion, and then I just dust it in a little bit of flour.
It's almost like a scallopini style.
It is.
Okay.
Yeah. It's a very Italian style dish. So now what I do is I just kind of, when the bacon's just starting to cook like this, I just drop my chicken right on top of the bacon. So I just want that to sear off a little bit. I'm going to add a little bit of salt and pepper, and then I'll flip them. Then what I do is I just add a couple of mushrooms. Just quick slice those up. So after the chicken's usually about halfway cooked, then we get to the fun part with the brandy.
Oh yeah. Woohoo! I love this part.
You just let that burn off. And now this is the weird part because we're going to be making a cream sauce, but we're going to use red wine instead of white wine.
All right.
So we're going to a couple of ounces of red wine. So we're just going to add a little bit of chicken stock now. When that reduces down a little bit, then we're just going to add our cream. This is just to brighten it up. This basically just gets reduced down now by about half. And I'm going to start cutting up some vegetables.
All right. Very colorful. This has got to be one of my favorite ways of making vegetables and eating vegetables is grilling them.
It does. It keeps all the flavor in. Okay, so I'm basically just going to start with the rice. Okay. So now we're on to the rum cake. And I'm just going to quick show you how to do the sauce for the rum cake. Take an apple, cut it into quarters, a bit of butter in the apples, and some more walnuts. And we put that on the stove and let them brown.
I love cooking with booze. My favorite part is the flambé.
Yes.
That's fun.
So the butter's melted. I'm going to add just a tablespoon of sugar. So now that it's starting to caramelize, what you do is you add the Captain Morgan's dark rum.
Woo! Oh, that's awesome. I can't wait to try this. So see, you get a little fruit in this.
Yeah.
It's not all bad. It's pretty. Cafe 13 Main Street Grill works very hard to appeal to a very wide clientele base. And the Galt Room upstairs offers some very flexible options for fantastic private functions. And it's all right here on Grand River Living.